Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 232 based on novel. So let's start. The time of 3 days is fleeting, and in these 3 days, the entire Ghost King city is in an orderly manner and has the appearance it should have. As for Xiao Yan, in the past few days, he first stabilized the aura in his body, and then he became lazy. After all, although Xiao Yan had a fighting spirit in his body at this time, he had to swallow it at the right time in order to use the fighting spirit to break through the 2-star fighting immortal. Whether it was soul power or fighting chi, it would take a lot of time to settle down, and naturally it would be laziness. 3 days have just passed, and on this day, the scorching sun has just hung in the air, and suddenly the entire Ghost King city, anger has become inexplicably high. Not for anything else, but because this day is the auction held by the City Lord's Mansion. The Palace Master of the City Lord's Mansion was directly assigned by the great powers in the Li Soul domain. Whether it is strength or temperament, it can be regarded as the best choice, not to mention that every time the City Lord's Mansion holds an auction, the items in it are all high-quality goods. Brother Xiao Yang, are you up yet? On this day, Qing Wen came to Xiao Yang's house early in the morning and asked, "Brother Qing, early?" Xiao Yang gently opened the door and said with a smile, "Today is the opening day of the auction. Shall we go together?" Qing Wen asked knowingly, "Right on my mind. In the auction, if there is something I need, I will take it, but..." Xiao Yang and Qing Wen were just walking towards the living room, and he declined on the way. "There's nothing to hide, but it's okay to say it." Qing Wen was also a person with extraordinary eyesight, so he could see Xiao Yang's doubts at a glance and said, "That's right, I didn't bring too many gold coins with me when I went out, so gold coins are inevitably used in the auction. I can sell some medicinal herbs in exchange for gold coins, and I hope to have some fun with you, Brother Qing." Xiao Yang smiled. "Ah!" Qing Wen couldn't help but be surprised when he heard the words. The first, second, and third rank of Emperor rank pills are all expensive. This guy's first shot was the second rank pill of Emperor rank. It seems that he also intends to befriend us. Qing Wen thought to himself. In fact, Xiao Yang doesn't have to do this. If he needs gold coins, he just needs to auction off his medicinal pills in the auction. After the auction, I am afraid I still need the help of the Qing family. Small thing. Qing Wen smiled. These are 3 imperial elixir, and I hope Brother Qing can deal with it. Xiao Yang waved his hand without hesitation, and 3 exquisite jade bottles appeared directly in his hand. The jade bottle had just appeared, and even if it was blocked by the jade bottle, Qing Wen could smell an inexplicable scent of elixir in this small space. From this, it can be seen that these 3 Emperor rank, second rank, heaven rank medicinal pills are definitely extraordinary. In fact, Xiao Yang is also a little helpless. Since his soul power has skyrocketed, his refining skills have fallen a lot. Before his soul power has skyrocketed, his level is only the peak of the second rank of Emperor rank, and he can't step into the third rank of Emperor rank. However, after his soul power skyrocketed, his medicine refining skills might have naturally reached the 3rd grade Emperor rank, but he just didn't have time to refine them. "Let's go." Qing Wen carefully put away the 3 jade bottles and said immediately, "These 3 medicinal pills will go to the auction in a while, and Qing Wen will naturally go to the auction in person. The 2nd grade Emperor rank medicinal pills are enough to bring a lot of popularity to their Qing family. This little girl, she's dressed beautifully today." She just came to the living room and found that besides his father Qingming, Qing's figure was slowly sitting in the living room, and she revealed with a ladylike feeling, "It's not for you to wear." Then at this time, Sammy said something directly. "Isn't what I wore to see who?" Qing Wen said at a loss. "Father, since everyone has arrived, let's go." Qing'er got up gently, and a silver bell-like voice echoed in the living room. "Let's go." Qingming glanced at Xiao Yang, and then muttered something, but Xiao Yang listened to it all. "This Xiao Yang is quite good. He can actually make Qing'er, who has always been plain, in my family do this. But if it does happen, it will be a good thing here." When Xiao Yang heard Qingming muttering like this, he couldn't help but have a black line. The 4 of them had just left the main entrance of Qing's house, and the 2 carriages had been waiting outside for a long time. Each carriage can only seat 2 people. "Clark, let's sit here." Qing Clark smiled slowly, and then stepped directly into the carriage. "Miss Qing'er, let's go too." Xiao Yang looked at Qingming as he came out, looking at Qing'er's skirt, which highlighted her exquisite figure, and couldn't help laughing. Emotional Sammy wants to use the beauty trick to keep herself. Qing'er didn't know if it was intentional or not. Since she returned to the family, she didn't dare to look at Xiao Yang, because every time her eyes met, her face turned red, and she didn't know what the situation was. The four of them rode 2 carriages each and went directly to the auction venue. The auction is over, I'm leaving here. So, Xiao Yang couldn't help but said, looking at the shadow that was less than a meter apart. Chinga's happy mood suddenly plummeted. Miss Chinga, come on, I believe you will succeed sooner or later. Xiao Yang looked at Chinga, who was suddenly depressed, and comforted. Xiao Yang knew that the reason why Chinga worked so hard to cultivate was to get rid of that the daughters of the family used to marry, so as to find her ideal person. Xiao Yang, thank you. When Xiao Yang said this, Chinga was relieved immediately, and then her eyes narrowed slightly, revealing 2 rather charming little dimples, and smiled at Xiao Yang. I just don't know what kind of girl can be worthy of someone like you. Chinga couldn't help whispering. The backyard of the auction venue arrived. The carriage stopped here. Miss and Xiao sir, get out of the car. As soon as Chinga finished muttering, the driver said, "It's so fast." Chinga heard the words and shook her head slightly. Obviously she no longer had the kind of affection she had for Xiao Yang. After all, Chinga knew that Xiao Yang was a dragon and a phoenix, and she would not be bound in this small ghost city. Let's go. Xiao Yang got off the carriage first, then stretched out his palm quite like a gentleman, and said to Chinga, "Thank you." As a lady, Chinga naturally didn't refuse. She just thanked her first, and then gently stretched out her delicate little hand. Hee. Feeling Xiao Yang's palm pulling her gently, Chinga felt a little cunning in her heart. Even if you can't have that kind of relationship, you can be cunning now. Oh. Chinga was just about to get off the carriage, but she deliberately stumbled and stepped in the air, her figure tilted, and she was about to fall from the carriage in an instant, so she couldn't help but let out an exclamation. Hey, this girl. Xiao Yang heard the words and shook his head helplessly. Then, without any hesitation, he directly squeezed the whole body of Chinga into his arms, so as not to fall to the ground. Oh, am I right? Our Ghost King City's arrogant young lady Chinga was actually hugged by a little white face. And Xiao Yang's behavior of holding Chinga beside the carriage naturally attracted some onlookers. Don't talk nonsense. When someone else said that, Chinga couldn't help but said angrily, "What an asshole. After so many years, I finally found a man I liked more, and I finally fell into his arms, but I didn't have time to enjoy the gentle time in his arms, but he was actually destroyed by this guy." On Chinga's small face, a trace of anger emerged. Are you alright? Xiao Yang naturally ignored the 2 guys, gently placed Chinga on the ground, and then asked. Well, it's alright. Chinga nodded slightly, then stood slim in front of the carriage. Humph. Chinga, don't think we don't know. Those things about you are not well known to everyone. Is it possible that you are trying to win sympathy with your current appearance? 10 meters away from Xiao Yang and the other's carriage, the 2 figures slowly stood there. The 2 figures were wearing long robes, and the back of the robes was engraved with the characters of dragon flying and phoenix dancing. Who is this guy? Xiao Yang took Chinga carefully to the next, and asked with a casual glance. The second young master of the Yu family, his strength is about the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal. The guy who just talked is his book boy. Although Chinga was a little angry in her heart, she didn't show it too clearly. After all, the strength of this feather wing, compared with Xiao Yang, Chinga was undoubtedly stronger. Although Chinga believed in Xiao Yang's strength, she didn't want to add unnecessary trouble to him. Please let it go. 2 annoying flies. Xiao Yang grabbed Chinga directly, then walked towards the auction, passing by the 2 troublemakers, and said with a cold expression. If it wasn't for the backyard of the auction, there were so many people, I'm afraid this wing would have been obliterated by Xiao Yang. However, after seeing Xiao Yang's dark eyes, Yu Yi and his book boy couldn't help but be startled, because those eyes were full of cold killing intent. I don't know who is so unlucky to come together with the eldest lady of the Qing family. I heard that the eldest lady of the Qing family has an incurable disease. It's a lot of harm. If you want me to say, if I have this disease, how can I think about it? I wish to hide away. The book boy looked serious. If you think you have a long life, I don't mind taking you. And Xiao Yang was too lazy to talk nonsense with these 2 guys. After all, the 2 of them seemed to have bad intentions at first sight. You don't need to think about it to know that they are naturally members of the Yu family. Try to pick things up. In addition to the bad relationship between the Yu family and the Qing family, this kind of thing is also a common thing. Kid, you have to think clearly, who are you talking to now? The book boy was stared at by Xiao Yang with such cold killing intent, he couldn't help but glanced at his wings, and after confirming the latter's eyes, there was a hint of he said to Xiao Yang arrogantly. Why, this is not the direct jurisdiction of the city lord's mansion. Is there an auction? Could it be that your Yu family can still cover the sky with one hand? Xiao Yang said with a smile. Boy, don't be ignorant. The book boy hurriedly opened his mouth and carried the Yu family out by himself. The young man in front of him was not at all afraid. Good dog won't stand in the way, let it go. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he directly led Chinga towards the auction venue. Master, this. Watching Xiao Yang and Chinga leave, Shutong couldn't help but said to Featherwing, who had been quiet and did not speak. This guy's strength should not be underestimated. Although it's only in the early stage of one-star fighting immortals, it can actually make me feel a hint of danger. Yu Quan shook his head and said, let's go to the auction first. After your father's business is successful, Chinga, aren't you ready for it? No one can escape the woman I have a crush on. After Yu Yi finished speaking, she didn't stop, and went directly to the auction. Aren't you curious about what that winged book boy said just now? Just after leaving the backyard of the auction, a serious look appeared on Chinga's face, and she asked Xiao Yang. The disease that the winged book boy said just now is indeed true, but it is not as terrifying as he said. The two of them should say that they are sour because they can't eat grapes. Don't pay attention. Xiao Yang smiled, then glanced at no one around, and gently released Chinga's little hand. That Featherwing is the second young master of the Yu family. He once pursued me, but he was rejected by me. I'm afraid he has bad intentions, so there is such a scene. Thank you for what you just said. Chinga smiled. If it's convenient, why don't you tell me a little about it? I have studied medicinal materials since I was a child and have a little understanding of medical methods. Xiao Yang asked. Fine. My disease can't be called a disease, it's just caused by my own ice attribute. Chinga smiled. Is the ice attribute? Xiao Yang heard the words and nodded slowly. He also knew that he was helpless about this kind of attribute. He immediately explained it, and then took Chinga to the auction venue. Sir, there was some conflict in the backyard between the second young master of the Yu family, Yu Yi, and the eldest lady of the Qing family. Inside the auction, in a quiet private room, there were two soldiers, one quietly standing on the seat. The armored figure, and a soldier in charge of investigating intelligence. Understood, let's go down and prepare. The auction will start soon, remember to be vigilant, and don't let anyone suspicious. The soldier sitting on the seat said slowly. Yes, Your Excellency. The soldier who was investigating the information heard the words and nodded slowly. This Yu family is arrogant. The soldier sitting on the seat said slightly. This soldier is impressively powerful in the late stage of the two-star Dozian in the Lord's Mansion of Ghost King City. Although he is just a soldier, he has won the love of the Ghost King City. It can be said without hesitation that this guy is not only powerful, but also tyrannical. It's just that no one knows why. Hundreds of years ago, the City Lord Death Feng brought this guy directly to the Ghost King City from other places. A soldier settled down in the Ghost King City, and the Ghost King City, which was originally quite uneasy, has become a country of peace and prosperity thanks to the efforts of the two. It's just that this soldier could have served as an official and a half job in the Ghost King City, but he had no choice but to follow the City Lord's death wind, and he had no idea of having a high official and rich salary. Naturally, he has always been an ordinary soldier, serving the City Lord's death wind. But even so, no one would dare to underestimate his strength. Let me ask, a soldier in the late stage of the two-star Dozian, with this level of strength, even if it is placed in the Ghost King City, it is enough to be regarded as a top 5 existence. At this moment, the auction venue in this Ghost King City can be said to be unprecedentedly lively, not only gathering the 3 major families of the Ghost King City, the Yu family, Qing family and the Lei family, but also many powerful forces, also went to. And with the gathering of these powerhouses, this unprecedented auction also slowly kicked off. The auction planned by the City Lord's Mansion stands in the center of the entire Ghost King City. There is a rather magnificent auction venue here. From the outside, the entire venue looks like a huge oval building, but its inside, there is an auction venue with hundreds of exclusive private rooms. This auction venue has been seldom used since its establishment. The use of this magnificent auction venue this time is enough to show that the City Lord's Mansion attaches great importance to the auction. When Xiao Yang and Chinga left the backyard and came to the main entrance of the auction venue, his sight was suddenly covered by a dark crowd. This auction is actually so hot. Xiao Yang and Chinga were at the back of the team and couldn't help but say, "Behind, line up, come one by one." The main entrance of the auction venue has 2 passages, one of which is an ordinary passage. Outside the passage, people are rushing to line up a 100-meter-long queue. The man with the rank of general is under serious investigation. The strength of the 3 generals is not bad, all of which have reached the late stage of 1-star fighting immortals. On the other side, a woman with a rather soft complexion and a more lazy man came into Xiao Yang's sight. The woman was wearing a floral dress that dented her figure, and an invisible elegance permeated slightly, only however, in this passage, there are red carpets everywhere, which are extremely noble, but there are almost no people. If you have a VIP card, please come this way. The next moment, the soft and beautiful girl's silver bell-like voice sounded. Isn't this the number 1 general of the City Lord's mansion? How could he be reduced to a gatekeeper? Hush hush hush, keep your voice down, don't let this general listen, don't think that this general is just wearing ordinary soldier's civilian clothes, but his strength is the same as the City Lord, enough to reach the late 2-star fighting immortal stage. If your words fall to some of the villains are in the middle, I am afraid that your good deeds are indispensable. At the end of the sentence, the word good deeds took a long time to breathe. Following the gossip in the ordinary passage, the figures of Xiao Yang and Qing'e walked slightly towards the VIP passage. The eldest lady of the Qing family just saw Qing'e and a man walking over, and then the soft woman said slowly, "This woman has a high status in the City Lord's mansion, and her strength is not weak. She has reached the level of the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortals, but when she saw Xiao Yang, a rather profound feeling emerged in her heart. Sister Li Zi is really getting more and more beautiful." Qing'e just came to the VIP aisle and immediately smiled at the soft and beautiful woman. Qing'e is also getting more and more beautiful as she grows. The soft and beautiful woman smiled at Qing'e. But this is... At the next moment, the soft beauty asked Xiao Yang. She could see that the relationship between Qing'e and Xiao Yang was definitely not normal, but Xiao Yang looked rather unfamiliar. This is a guest of our Qing family. The next moment, a hearty laughter slowly came out of the passage. Qing Wen. Seeing this, Li Zi couldn't help but say, Qing Wen is very talented. Although his strength is not very outstanding, he has already been appointed as the next head of the Qing family, so the details of the guy who can be treated highly by Qing Wen are definitely not that simple. The eldest young lady and young master of the Qing family. And seeing this scene, the lazy soldier opened his pupils slightly and glanced at Xiao Yang casually. Wow. Being casually swept away by the soldier, Xiao Yang only felt that the power of fighting immortals in his body seemed to be exhausted, which was quite terrifying. This guy's strength is so terrifying. The next moment, Xiao Yang also gave an instant evaluation. This soldier looks quite ordinary, but according to Xiao Yang's estimation, his strength is probably not comparable to that of the Qing family's patriarch. Bo Zhong. Let's go, the auction will start soon. Qing Wen said with a smile, and immediately walked inside with Xiao Yang and Qing'e. Ms. Li Zi, Lord Baihe, let's go first. Just as he was about to leave, he said to the soldier and Li Zi. Yes. The soldier said softly. Let's go. At this time, the 3 of Xiao Yang walked towards the auction venue. This little guy is a bit interesting. And watching Xiao Yang leave, the tyrannical soldier muttered slowly just now. This soldier's name is Baihe, a powerhouse in the late 2-star fighting immortal stage, the strongest powerhouse under the City Lord. Let's go too. Baihe said to Li Zi after taking a glance and seeing that there was no one here. En. Li Zi heard the words, nodded slowly, and then turned towards the interior. The 2 guys just now. Xiao Yang couldn't help but ask immediately after entering the auction. Obviously, the soldier put a lot of pressure on Xiao Yang. The 2 just now, Li Zi and Baihe-sama. Miss Li Zi is the same as the housekeeper of the City Lord's mansion, while Baihe serves the City Lord and only obeys the City Lord. Her strength has reached the level of the late 2-star fighting immortal. Qing Wen said. So it is. Xiao Yang was relieved when he heard the words. Our private room in Qing's house is right in front, let's go. Qing Wen led the 2 of them and went directly to the private room. It is strange to say that the entire private room is airtight on 3 sides, but the front is not sealed at the end, so in the private room, the strong people who come to the auction can see other people this time. Xiao Yang and the 3 just came to the private room to meet with the head of the Qing family, and they became quiet, because with Xiao Yang's huge soul power, they could feel the rather obscure atmosphere of each of these hundreds of private rooms. The breath is quite good, and it is obviously the strongest competitor in this auction. And as Xiao Yang and his group gathered, other powerhouses also came here one after another. The Yu family, the Lei family, and the large and small forces in the Ghost King city filled the entire auction with hundreds of private rooms. However, although there are such a large number of buyers, there are probably only a few real buyers. After all, the precious treasures are too precious. If there is not enough financial support, I am afraid it will only be a waste. The inside of the entire auction is an oval shape, and hundreds of private rooms surround its center. Obviously, the center of the circle is the location of the auction. And when there were noisy discussions in the hundreds of private rooms, a milky white energy beam came from the auction center. Catcher. With a sound, the voices of machine expansion slowly sounded, and then a beautiful auction table composed of crystals slowly emerged in front of everyone. On the auction table, the milky white energy beam persisted for a long time. It was obviously a means of protection to protect it. A good show. Is it finally about to start? Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan's heart also had a trace of fiery enthusiasm, and he was obviously looking forward to this auction. Crash. The next moment, as the beams of light flickered, the two figures slowly came into everyone's sight. The two figures are impressively a man and a woman. The man is majestic and has an extraordinary bearing. At first glance, he looks like a strong man, while the woman is well dressed, and at first glance, she looks like a lady. City Lord Deathwind and Li Zi? When the light beam disappeared, there was an exclamation from many private rooms. Obviously, it is quite rare for the City Lord Deathwind and Li Zi Butler to appear together. After all, their identities are quite high. Welcome all of you to this auction. The City Lord, Feng, was wearing a cyan robe. When he appeared, he was greeted with a burst of sighs, and then he ignored it and smiled at the hundreds of private rooms. Above the cyan robe, a silent wave slowly radiated out, covering the entire auction venue. Presumably this is the City Lord of Ghost King City, right? Xiao Yang felt this fierce aura and couldn't help but say, yes, this guy is the current city owner. Deathfeng, a 2-star Dozian perfection level powerhouse. Sammy smiled on the side. 2-star fighting immortals is complete. Xiao Yang was a little surprised when he heard this. Obviously, a character of this level is not something he can handle at present. Since this guy has appeared, it shows that he values this auction, otherwise he wouldn't show up in person to look at these wicked guys. Sammy said. This auction is the most grand auction in my Ghost King city in the past 10 years. But before I start, allow me to trouble myself. This is the Ghost King city. If anyone doesn't know how to fight here, then no matter how tyrannical forces they have behind them, I will definitely make their life worse than death. On the smiling face of Deathwind, there is a trace of quite the strong breath, and the sound slowly reached the ears of everyone in the hundreds of private rooms. This guy, is he too arrogant? This is not madness. You didn't find this guy's 2-star Dozian perfection. However, this guy's methods have also broken some unscrupulous intentions. As the sound of the wind of death fell, whispers suddenly sounded in the private room, and after a while, the commotion in the auction also slowly quieted down. Brother Xiao Yang, this is the gold coin auctioned by your 3 medicinal pills, a total of 20 million, all of which are in the immortal crystal card. The next moment, in the private room of the Qing family, Qingwen took out a rather expensive one in his hand. The purple crystal card, said to Xiao Yang. Brother Qing, I've been bothered. Xiao Yang was not hypocritical, and accepted the immortal crystal card directly. After all, gold coins would definitely be used in the auction. The immortal crystal card is a symbol of strength. Only when the strength reaches the level of Do Immortal can it be handled in various auctions. The 3 Emperor rank 2nd rank Heaven rank medicinal pills only sold 20 million gold coins at auction, which was a bit beyond Xiao Yang's expectations. However, Xiao Yang also knows that this is not the Doqi continent after all, so it is understandable. Otherwise, on the Doqi continent, just a roll of Heaven rank Do skills can be auctioned for hundreds of millions of dollars. In that case, let's get started. This auction will be presided over by me, Deathwind. Next, let's auction some appetizers. Deadwind casually glanced at the hundreds of quiet private rooms and said slowly, Appetizer? I don't know what it is. I hope you won't let us down. As soon as Deathwind's voice fell, a fiery look came from many private rooms, and cast them towards the auction table. Everyone, please take a look. The next moment, the figure of the Deadwind slowly took a few steps back, and then the plum strolled like a lotus directly to the auction table. Turning his hand gently, a white light beam slowly emerged from the bottom of the auction table, appeared on the auction table. Strange, why is the undead ghost a little restless? Could it be that there is something here that makes me tempted? The next moment, the fighting spirit that was temporarily sealed in Xiao Yang's body was emitting a fiery aura. Forget it, let's take a look at what this appetizer is first. After sensing it a little, he didn't find anything unusual, but he just didn't know why the undead sparrow made such fiery fluctuations. This is 4th grade immortal pill? The next moment, as the beam of light on the auction table disappeared, an exquisite pill the size of a dragon's eye slowly stood in front of everyone. A 4th grade immortal level medicinal pill? When Xiao Yang saw this medicinal pill, his body couldn't help heaving violently. The Emperor rank is divided into the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rank, and after the 3rd rank, there is the 4th, 5th, and 6th rank of the immortal rank. However, Xiao Yang is already at the 3rd rank Emperor rank. If he wants to break through the Emperor rank and enter the Fairy rank pharmacist, the only thing is that he needs soul power to reach the Fairyland and condense the spiritual palace before he can break through. This seems simple, but for Xiao Yang, there is not enough chance. I am afraid it is impossible in a short time. This elixir is called Xianling pill, and it is located in the pinnacle of the 4th grade earth pill of the immortal rank. As for its efficacy, I don't need to say more, right? The next moment, Li Zimei's eyes turned slightly, projecting away in all directions. It's actually a fairy pill. My darling, this is a good thing. When I heard the name of this medicinal pill, it immediately caused quite a stir. Xianling Dan, although the rank is only at the peak of the 4th rank of the immortal rank, its effect is staggering. It can restore 80% of the power of Do immortals in a very short period of time. Although it also has drawbacks, you can only take one a month, which means you can only take it once per battle, but it doesn't limit its appeal in the slightest. Seimi took a deep breath, and then exhaled, saying, this guy is also quite fond of fairy spirit pills. Sure enough, it's a good thing. When Xiao Yang heard the words, he smiled slowly. Obviously this thing is what he lacks most at present. His biggest killer right now is the fusion of holy flames, but after using the fusion of holy flames, although he can kill opponents by leaps and bounds, it will also consume almost all of Xiao Yang's vindictive energy. In times of crisis, restore 80% of the vindictiveness, and this 80% of the vindictiveness can lay the key to victory or defeat. Without further ado, Miss Li Zi, let's make an offer. After a brief commotion, there was a roar from the countless private rooms. Obviously it was inevitable to get this thing. The medicinal pills to restore vindictive energy have been in short supply since ancient times, and because of the high price of fairy spirit pills, there are a total of 5 fairy spirit pills auctioned this time, which will be divided into 5 auctions. The reserve price of the auction is 10 million gold coins, and each increase shall not be less than 1 million gold coins. Everyone, please. As soon as Li Zi's voice fell, there was a moment of silence in the auction, and then there was an endless sound of noisy price increases. It was obvious that Li Zi was well versed in mobilizing the anger of the entire auction. 10 million gold coins? As soon as Li Qin finished speaking, the entire auction fell into a rare silence. Obviously, these 10 million gold coins were a lot of money for them, not to mention that it was only a small amount of money. The reserve price, God knows how high this increase will be. Father, we are bound to get this thing. If you have the immortal spirit pill, although you won't be able to use it, you will undoubtedly be more confident about what our Yu family will do next, Yu Yi said. The private rooms have numbers. The private room of the Qing family is undoubtedly number 3, while the private room of the Yu family is number 2. As for the number 1, it is a black robe, which is quite mysterious. In the number 2 private room of the Yu family, there are only 3 people, namely Yu Gan, Yu Yi, and Shutong, the head of the Yu family. This first one, we won't fight for it, otherwise the price is quite high. Anyway, we have 5, so don't worry. Yu Gan glanced at the increasing price and smiled slowly. Their purpose is naturally to rush to the finale of this auction. Although the elixir is effective, it is obviously not their main purpose. Father, what exactly is the finale of this auction? Yu Yi looked into the private room, but vaguely found some obscure auras, all of which gave him a feeling of depression, and then he endured it. Kept talking. The confidentiality measures for the information of the auction items in this auction are extremely serious, even if I know it is not too much. But one thing you can know is that the finale is likely to be related to the legendary Holy Flame. Qingming's eyes narrowed slightly, and when he mentioned the word Holy Flame, his eyes suddenly became hot. His strength is already in the early stage of the 3-star fighting immortal. Although he is only comparable to the 2-star fighting immortal due to the dark disease, but with the strength of the fighting spirit in his body, I am afraid that he is not on a par with the real 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse. And the Holy Flame is the most powerful flame between heaven and earth. If you can get one of them, let alone the Ghost King city, I am afraid that they will all have a place in their Yu family in this East continent. Holy flame, how could it be? When Fei heard the words, his eyebrows shrank suddenly. Obviously, the prestige of Holy Flame had already been heard. Don't worry, let's take a look at the auction of this elixir first. It's about Sheng Yang, we must get it. The next moment, the two of them didn't speak, and quietly watched the elixir that was fired at the sky-high price on the auction table. There was a moment of silence in many private rooms, and the next moment was to become restless. Obviously, under the balance, they are still ready to start with the fairy pill. After all, in the entire Ghost King city, except for the Yu family patriarch Fei, all others are strong. All of them are located under the 3 stars fighting immortal, and this immortal spirit pill is simply a life-saving straw for them. I'll pay 13 million. From the private room number 47, there was a rather heroic voice. I'll offer 15 million. And following the bid in the private room number 47, a rather sharp female voice appeared in the private room number 50. I'll pay 16 million. 17 million. In a few short minutes, the first immortal spirit pill was auctioned off by the woman in the number 50 private room at a high price of 19 million gold coins. The woman in the number 50 private room is really a gold owner. This first fairy pill was auctioned for 19 million gold coins. It is impossible to say whether it made a profit or a loss. In the number 3 private room, Xiao Yang also smiled after seeing the first fairy pill was successfully auctioned. This first immortal spirit pill is undoubtedly the target of some small forces to loot. After all, the real Yu Qinglei 3 families have not yet moved. Once the 3 rich and powerful families start to compete, I am afraid there will be no such thing as these guys. The first immortal spirit pill was taken by the owner of the number 50 private room for 19 million gold coins. Li Qin's beautiful voice echoed throughout the auction, the jade hand gently lifted, and the exquisite silver hammer directly knocked down on the auction table, and the symbolic first round of auction ends. Next, start the second one. After auctioning the 5 fairy pills in sequence, the next auction item will be launched. The second immortal spirit pill is still at the reserve price of 10 million. Please, please. Li Qin seemed to mobilize the anger of the entire auction. It was the power that had not been auctioned for the first one just now, and they all started against the second one. 14 million. Ads by Pub Future. 15 million. 16 million. In a short period of time, the powerhouses in the 3 different private rooms started to increase their prices at the same time. Is there a price increase for 16 million? After watching the 3 people increase their price, there were not many people in the auction. After all, they came for the finale, and there were still 3, not in a hurry. 117 million. After the audience remained silent, Xiao Yang suddenly spoke slowly. And being said like this, the strong man who shot 16 million couldn't help frowning in the private room. After finding out that it was the person in the 3rd private room, he swallowed his breath. After all, private room number 3 belongs to the Qing family. In the Ghost King city, a small force of his own against the Qing family will undoubtedly lead to his own death. Brother Xiao Yang is also interested in this immortal spirit pill. Seeing Xiao Yang increasing the price, Qing Wen asked with a smile. This kind of elixir to restore vindictive energy is exactly what I lack at the moment, so. Xiao Yang smiled slowly, and did not hide it too much. Is there a price increase for 17 million? When Li Qin saw this, she was smiling professionally, her beautiful eyes surrounding her. 18 million, and in the 2nd private room, there was a hint of playfulness at the corner of Featherwing's mouth, and he said with a smile. 19 million. Xiao Yang also said with a smile. Since the Qing family is so generous, this medicinal pill will be cheaper for you. Yu Yi smiled slowly. Is there a price increase for 19 million? Li Qin smiled slowly. The silver hammer gently pressed on the auction table, which meant that this second fairy pill was auctioned by Xiao Yang at a high price of 19 million. And the third one that followed was taken by the Yu family with 20 million gold coins. It was obvious that they had just smothered Xiao Yang, and Xiao Yang had to return it. And the fourth one fell into the Lei family and the most mysterious private room with 17 million gold coins. Who is the guy in the private room number 1? Xiao Yang also seemed to use his soul power to investigate the private room number 1, but he returned without success. Obviously, although this auction can see each other appearance, but it blocks the transmission of soul power and even fighting spirit, and you don't need to think about it to know that it is to protect the safety of the auctioneer. 5 celestial elixir have been successfully photographed, and next, there are some interesting things. Li Qin's beautiful eyes were looking around, and she mobilized the anger of the audience with her soft words. What is this second auction item? As Li Qin said so, the hundreds of private rooms present were staring at Li Qin on the auction table. This video will end here.